Okay, I've come to Time to Float in Stafford. It's the first flotation therapy centre in the area, and I'm with director right now, Mark Smethurst. How are you doing?
I'm good, Terry. How are you doing?
I'm fine, thank you. First of all, what made you open this business in Stafford?
Right, Stafford, born and dragged up.
Yeah.
I've worked away in London for 4 or 5 years, and when you always want to, as a young lad, as a whippersnapper, you want to go out in the world, and you think like you've got to go to London to make it, and you get to London, and all of a sudden, all the things that you miss are the things that are back home, and Staffordshire's where it's always been at for me, and it just feels like home. So, well, could have been very easy because there are no other flotation centres in the Midlands. It could have been very easy to put it into Birmingham, but I wanted it to be. It's more about community based, and what we're trying to create here is something where the community can get involved with. So Stafford became such an easy choice for me to bring it here.
Yeah, come full circle then.
Complete full circle, circle of life.
Yeah. Well, I've seen these on TV.
Yeah.
Tell me exactly what they do.
Right. Okay. So physically, to visualise it while on the radio, you're looking at a 5.5 foot wide by 8.5 foot long. I suppose the easy way to describe it would be an oversized egg. If you're old enough, if your listeners are old enough to remember Mork and Mindy, that's kind of that's what you'll be looking at. Well, obviously the hatch to get in and out from, basically.
So we're going full circle from the egg back into an egg.
Back into the egg, returning back to the womb. So inside that there's 10 inches of water. This water is heated to body temperature, and within the water we put in 1,000 pounds of Epsom salts. So literally a ton of Epsom salts in there. Because the water is heated to body temperature, it helps to your body to relax. Because it's dark in there, you can't see so much, and because you're in a soundproof room, you can't hear anything. What we're trying to do is to trick the mind into going into sleep mode. Yeah.
I can imagine just lying there. It'd be like being in the Dead Sea.
The Dead Sea is a tremendous comparison because it is almost like for like the Dead Sea. It's actually slightly more buoyant than the Dead Sea. The amount of salt that we put in makes it more buoyant, and you're more likely to float on top of rather than sinking half into the water. But it is exactly the same principle. You get into the water and you literally float there. After spending a few minutes, you'll end up relaxing in there, and the newness of it, the unique surroundings that you're in will sort of disappear, and you'll literally melt into it. You'll float into a relaxing state. So
what was your first take on this?
When I was living in London, to put a bit more into the backstory, I've had a back problem since I was 14. That's many years ago, and it's something that without a very tricky operation which could paralyse me, and it just wasn't worth the effort. So I had to live with pain constantly for that amount of years. And I just remember reading an article in I think it was the Loaded magazine just before it folded, and the hook that caught my attention was that the writer said, "I'm sitting in a tub of warm water in the dark with no music. What am I doing?" And then I thought, what are you doing? And so I read on, and it's going on about the fact that it's really good for bad backs, bad necks, bad knees. And I'm like, bad back, I'll read a bit further. So I started going through it, and it explained the whole process of flotation, which is like, wow, that sounds really interesting. Not that you'd recognise it right now, being rather portlier than I was when I was younger, but back at the time I would try anything. As long as it didn't involve heights, I was up for trying anything. So I'll have to track this place down. And this is in the days of dial-up, not even broadband. So it's trying to find it took a while to find, but I found one of only 2 centres at the time, and they were both in London. So went along, gave it a try. It's around about the same time I'd made the decision to come back to Staffordshire. And at the time, it was a case of, I knew that I wanted to open a bar and restaurant. And as I was going into the tank, I was like, so what's this restaurant, what's this bar going to look like? And I was just lying in the water, and I was just throwing these ideas around, and the simplest way of describing it is I was just getting images of what the layout of the bar would be. I could see the colours on the walls, the furniture we were going to put in there, the fact it was going to be soft brown leather sofas. The music will be a sort of very relaxed, chill out Cafe Del Mar. And by the end of the hour session, I got out of the tank and I was scribbling furiously to all the ideas that I had. And those ideas made up 90% of the bar when it actually opened 14 months later.
Wow, so not only did it help with your back, He just like got the creative juices flowing.
Absolutely,
as well.
And from the physical point of view, I came out and it felt like I was inside 1,000 balloons, and I was literally bouncing along. My back was great. It just felt amazing physically, and then mentally I was just wide awake. Ideas were flowing for days afterwards, not just on that, but the work I was doing at the time. It was almost like an epiphany, almost like a reawakening. And just, at the time I thought, wow, this is pretty good.
So I've said that it's great for people to relax, and you've said it's good for people with injuries. Who else can benefit from it?
There's no exaggeration when I say 90% of the country I could find a reason why they could float and get benefit from it. The obvious ones that we mentioned, which is the back, the neck, the knee pains. People that have muscular injuries, it helps them recover quicker. This is why it would be good for sports people. But common people in the street like myself, people that have asthma, people that have skin conditions like psoriasis, that they'll find that will help. Going on to other physical injury, going to more like things like scoliosis. It's great for easing the pain. Dare I say a phrase that not trendy is not the word I'm looking for, but there's an illness called fibromyalgia that is being diagnosed a lot right now. Doctors have finally found the key to diagnosing this mystery illness that people are being afflicted by, and it's pretty horrible for someone that's got it. We have so many people that come to try flotation that have fibromyalgia, and it reduces their pain even after one session. I had one young lady come in. She's 23. She's had it for 8 years. Some days she can barely get out of bed, and as she walked in, I could tell the way she was walking that she's in pain. And obviously, we found out at the time it's fibro. She walked out. She came and sat in the area, the chill out area we're sat in right now, and she said, "I'm pain free, and it's the first time in 8 years that I felt without pain free." And she promptly burst into tears as the emotion gave up on her. And it's like, this is really powerful. This is why we've opened this in this area, to give people that amount of hope.
A lot of celebrities swear by it as well and use it. Are you going to do some name dropping for me?
Well, you've got to do a little bit of name dropping. We'll go through the different areas. So for professional sports people, the most recognisable name is Wayne Rooney. He has a flotation centre in his home. We've been talking about films before we start the interview. James Bond, 007, or current James Bond, Daniel Craig, he's floated. He'd floated a lot during the making of Skyfall. There is a very well-known podcaster in America and commentator on mixed martial arts, guy called Joe Rogan, and he's absolutely fanatical about floating. It's mentioned quite regularly in his podcasts, and the podcasts have somewhere in the region of 2 million listeners. Wow. Quite a lot in the UK, and a lot of people are coming to us having heard about it through him. Yeah,
I've got another one, Homer Simpson.
Homer Simpson, yes. And it's quite an interesting cover in the programme they did, because when they go for something, they don't hold back. And it's quite interesting in the fact that some of the stuff they put in there does actually happen. So
I am here now in the flotation pod. It does look like an egg. It does look like the one from Mork and Mindy, and it's bigger than I thought.
It's you could get 2 people in here, but at the end of the day, it's an experience for one person. It's getting a bit of me time. It's getting your thoughts cleared if you're stressed. If you're relaxing, you can put your legs out without knocking over the person. So we bought it because A, it's the biggest on the market in the world. It's also a UK company that makes it, so it's again best of British.
Yeah, is that something people ever do? Float with another person?
It's not something we've done here. There are float centres that have bigger flotation areas that 2 people can float in. For me, being a little bit of a purist, I've done it for 15 years. You lose the experience. I know people try and do it to connect with another person, normally with a loved one, but in the end of the day, you just end up find that they fall asleep and snore on you, or they nudge you just as you go. So it's not great. But the point is, we bought these ones because they are so big.
Yeah.
For people that are worried about the feeling of claustrophobia, for being shut in, it's very open and spacious. The inside of this is actually bigger than a Mercedes A-Class car.
Yeah.
And that's just to try and make your listeners aware of just how big and roomy it is inside. So if you can sit in the car for 90 minutes, then you can float for 60 minutes, no problem.
You mentioned falling asleep. Is that something that happens?
Quite regularly, actually. Yeah. Because at the end of the day, because your mind has nothing, it can't see anything, it can't hear anything when the music fades out. It has nothing to reference to, so it goes into sleep mode. And because the water's so warm, it is body temperature, it's once people relax into the float, people they say they don't think they've fallen asleep, but then they have that twitching moment that you sometimes happen at night time that wakes you up. That happens quite a lot when you're floating, as people relax enough that they've actually slipped into a sleep. So yeah.
One more thing, bodily functions. Has anything like that happened in here?
Touch wood, no, not yet. But at the end of each flotation session, we have a filtration system that filters the water 4 times, and it filters it to a level of 1 micron. To put that into context, if you go into a spa or your local swimming baths, they filter to a maximum of 4 microns. So it's 4 times cleaner than any other water you'll go into, and it's filtered 4 times as well. So it is absolutely crystal clean and clear.
I'm going to go get changed and have a go in here. How long am I going to be in here for?
You can be about an hour.
Okay.
6TR Community Radio at its best.
Okay, here we go. I'm about to get in. Okay, so now it's 1 hour after I went into the lovely pod here at Time to Float. I know we've only just played a song, but it's actually an hour in time, and I'm back in the chill out area with Mark.
Mate, you look so relaxed right now.
Yeah, getting out, I feel cleansed. Spiritually and mentally and physically, every way I could be cleansed, and I had such a great experience in there.
What you're saying is not unusual. It's really hard to describe how people will feel when they come out, feeling cleansed, feeling light, feeling reinvigorated, physically, mentally sharp, quite common reactions. But yeah, no, you look very relaxed, and having just taken your blood pressure afterwards, we've just seen the results as well.
Yeah, because you take the blood pressure before and after to show those results.
Yeah, we're doing a study this year just to see the effects that flotation has on blood pressure, and what's becoming quite a big trend is the fact that blood pressure for most people will drop. And as I've been shown with yours has just come down quite nicely.
Yeah.
Which is a sign that you're very relaxed, which is always a good sign.
I am. I've just come out thinking nice thoughts. In the pod, I was unaware of time. I was unaware of space round. I think I did every position imaginable. I was starfish like Patrick out of SpongeBob. I had my hand behind my head. I was at the side, but not like keep changing. I just felt relaxed to move around a little bit, and then I hardly ever hit the side. So it felt like I was in like a vast amount of water.
Yeah, and this is the thing, because the tanks we've chosen are not only the biggest in the world and also British made, which is a big thing for us. It gives you the chance for, certainly with people like yourselves on your first float, you will experiment, you will, we christen and nickname the positions in the pods like armchair floaters, John Travoltas, the sunbathers. So people will do. I've
just named one myself, the Patrick.
The Patrick, yeah. I have to remember that one. We'll get a picture of the Patrick in there. So yeah, so it's very much people do explore and try things on the first session. And the interesting thing that hopefully you'll find moving forward is that the effects of flotation are cumulative, in the fact that the more you do it, the easier it becomes, and the better the effects are for you. So the cleanse and good feelings you're feeling right now will just go up to perspectively to a much higher level after each float.
And each float is different, I can imagine. A different experience for everybody.
Without a doubt. I've been floating for 15 years now, probably in excess of 200 times, and I'm struggling to think where I've had 2 floats exactly the same. It's just very relaxing, very good physically, very good mentally, and this is why I wanted to bring it to Staffordshire.
Yeah, and how buoyant you are. I think I had a heavy meal last night. I thought I won't float, but no, I was straight up there.
Well, you definitely, at the end of the day, I'm a bigger lad than you, and even I can float in it. So yeah, the amount of salt that we put in is literally almost a ton in there. What we'll do is we'll tweet up a picture for you later on today of just how much salt we put inside a tank, so you can actually see how much goes in there, so you can understand why the water is so buoyant and why it is so easy to float.
Well, I really enjoyed it. I came in here with an open mind thinking I'd like to try it, and I've tried it, and like I said, my experience will be different than anyone else's. So how can they find out more?
Right, so obviously you can either give us a call here at the centre. We're based on Marston Road in Stafford. We're also our website, which is www.timetofloat.co.uk. On there, lots of information about floating. There's testimonials from people that have tried it before. That gives an email, gives a phone call. We're open 7 days a week from 10 in the morning till 10 at night. We'd love to see you here.
Thank you very much, Mark.
No problem, my pleasure.